To talk a lot more and break down what we just sort of learned there, I want to bring into the conversation legal analyst Nima Rahmani. Nima, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. Of course, when it comes to some of these SNAP issues, it really hits home for people. We were just listening into that press conference with that man talking about he's disabled, he's on a fixed income, and these SNAP benefits are not coming. What did we just now learn through the court system as the government still remains shut down at this hour?
Thanks for having me, Christina. And like you said, more than 42 million Americans do receive these benefits, 1 in 8 people in the United States. So this is a big deal for a lot of folks. So let's talk about the latest developments today.
Something pretty remarkable just happened in the courts that suggests Trump's time in the spotlight might be coming to a close. An entire group of 29 federal judges unanimously decided they're done giving him the special treatment he's grown accustomed to. This isn't just any news. We're talking about a serious shift here. There was a ruling made by a judge Trump appointed himself, intended to shield him from legal issues. He probably thought he was safe, thinking, I've got my own guy backing me up. But then came the group of 29 appellate judges. They looked at that ruling and said, nope, we're not going to let this slide. That ruling's out the window. We're starting fresh. What's even more surprising is that many of these judges were appointed by Republican presidents, not Democrats trying to go after him, yet they all stood together on this. They clearly stated they're finished with the special treatment for Trump, overturning the prior ruling and insisting the case be
Otherwise, SNAP benefits should be flowing to millions of Americans.
That's really interesting, Nima, because there are people who were expecting that money to be on their card a week ago. They're now expecting, some of them who had the date set as today, that their cards would be refilled. But it seems like the legal aspect of this is still able to hold up those funds during that process. What allows for that? Is that just the nature of the court system now that they're trying to take this all the way to the Supreme Court?
So there's 2 issues going on. The first is the position that the Trump administration took in these cases. First, they said that they're not going to pay any benefits. Then they said they're going to pay 50%. Then they said they're not going to pay. Then they said they're going to pay 65% because there wasn't enough money. It was just that initial contingency fee fund that we talked about.
There's a court ruling that's currently on hold. And because of that, SNAP benefits that millions of Americans were counting on are stuck in limbo. Some folks expected their funds to hit their cards last week, or even today, but legal issues are holding everything up. It's kind of wild how the court system works. It seems like they're trying to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. There are actually 2 big things happening here. First, the Trump administration has been all over the place on these benefits. At one point, they said they wouldn't pay any at all. Then they offered 50%, then it dropped again, and now they're talking about 65%. It's been quite a roller coaster regarding the initial fund situation. But the real story is that 29 judges just made decisions that really changed the game. It shows the judiciary is no longer in Trump's corner. They're done giving him the benefit of the doubt. That's a huge indication that his usual strategy of using judges to delay everything and get favorable rulings is starting to fall apart. Without the courts on his side, he's facing a serious problem. It's driving him up the wall because it means fewer options, and the courts are now more like adversaries than allies. Trump is really feeling the pressure. For a long time, he could bend the system to his will, and people often did what he wanted. But that's changing. Judges are no longer playing ball. They're sticking to the law and refusing to let him get away with his usual tactics. On top of that, Congress is stepping up impeachment talks. They've already filed articles, and if Democrats regain control of the House, they'll be ready to act. They're preparing for a situation where Trump continues to dismiss court orders and criticize judges. Congress is making it clear. If he keeps undermining the courts, removing him from office is definitely on the table. It's like Trump is caught in a tight spot now. The courts that once seemed to protect him are turning against him, and Congress is looming with its impeachment threats. His usual legal strategies and delays appear to be backfiring, and he's likely aware that his time is dwindling. The walls are closing in, and things are starting to get serious. People are even talking about the possibility of him stepping down, wondering if he might decide it's not worth the fight anymore, or if he realizes he's backed into a corner. Of course, none of this is certain. But the mere fact that it's become part of the conversation shows that something significant has shifted. Judges are consistently rejecting his legal maneuvers, and Congress is eyeing impeachment, signaling that his options are running out. This whole situation is about more than just one judge's decision. It's about the ripple effect of multiple elements coming together, judges pushing back, Congress ramping up impeachment threats, and a legal landscape closing in on him. Now it's time to unpack what's really going on with that recent decision from 29 judges and what it signifies. Trump has been trying hard to use the courts as a shield, appointing judges he believes would side with him and employing various legal tactics to drag cases out and dodge accountability. It's honestly hard to believe what's happening with Trump in the courts. For a long time, he managed to treat the judiciary like his own personal safety net, and it seemed to work. He had judges in place who ruled in his favor, cases got postponed, and he sidestepped accountability. But things have taken a turn. Now, the entire judicial system is pushing back. Judges everywhere are stepping up, making it clear they're not going to be played anymore. They're standing firm, saying they will follow the law and apply it fairly to everyone, Trump included. This recent decision by 29 judges makes it unmistakably clear that the era of special treatment in the courts is over for him. It's crystal clear that enough is enough. The courts are rejecting a ruling that would have let Trump off the hook, making it plain that he will not receive any special treatment from the legal system. What makes this even more significant is the overwhelming agreement among the judges. This isn't just a group of liberal judges. Many were appointed by Republicans, and they all agree that Trump is not above the law. It's a strong, unified message from the judiciary. Everyone, including Trump, must abide by the rules. Commentators are calling this situation extraordinary. It's incredibly rare to see such a large and diverse group of judges from different presidential administrations come together to overturn a pro-Trump ruling. It's truly unprecedented and signals a united front against Trump's usual legal maneuvers. For Trump, this shift means the courts can no longer be counted on as allies. He must now adhere to the law like everyone else, and his strategies of delaying and manipulating the system are falling apart. For years, he relied on legal delays, filing appeals, getting judges to prolong proceedings, and effectively tying up cases until political situations changed. But with the judiciary now united against him, judges are making it clear these delays will no longer be tolerated. They are determined to move cases forward and prevent Trump from sidestepping accountability. His whole approach is crumbling. He can no longer delay proceedings or use his usual legal tricks. It's time for him to face the courts and defend himself against the charges. The reality is that when Trump is in front of a judge, the odds aren't in his favor. His legal defenses are shaky at best, and the evidence stacked against him isn't looking good. That's why he spent so much time trying to avoid this moment, tying the system in knots. But the courts aren't having it anymore. They've had enough of his games and are ready to apply the law. On top of that, Congress is ramping up the pressure for impeachment. Articles of impeachment have already been filed, and it's clear that if Democrats regain control of the House in 2026, they'll be ready to act. They aren't waiting for courts to hand down a conviction. Instead, they're focusing on Trump's continued defiance of court orders, his attacks on judges, and his undermining of the Constitution, all seen as serious offenses. That's enough for them to consider impeachment. Impeachment is about political power, not legal guilt. Congress doesn't need a criminal conviction or a jury verdict. They just need to see him as a threat to democracy. And it seems they're inching closer to that conclusion. Groups dedicated to protecting democracy are also vocalizing their concerns, adding to the mounting pressure. Civil society groups are highlighting how Trump has ignored court orders and even tried to pressure judges who rule against him. They are stating loud and clear, a president can't just brush aside the courts or attack the judiciary without consequences. And it seems more people are rallying around this idea. The movement to impeach Trump is gaining momentum, with campaigns pushing for action. Things are getting tense for him as these groups ramp up pressure and Congress begins to take notice. Lawmakers are realizing that if Trump keeps ignoring court rulings, they may actually have to step in. He's feeling the squeeze. Courts no longer have his back, and Congress is hinting at possible removal. Political and legal constraints are closing in, and his options are dwindling. It's entirely within Congress's power to take action against him. They can impeach him if they believe he's disregarding the courts, attacking judges, and undermining democracy. The House can vote for impeachment, and the Senate can follow through with conviction and removal. If lawmakers feel he's crossed the line, they could exercise that power. Is it likely to happen immediately? Probably not, since Republicans currently hold the majority in Congress. But if the 2026 elections shift control back to the Democrats in the House, impeachment could become a serious possibility. Trump is fully aware that his current grip on Congress is what's keeping him safe. Any change in that dynamic could trigger massive consequences for him. That's why he's been pressing Republicans to secure victories in the midterms. He knows that losing Congress would leave him vulnerable to relentless courts and an impeachment-ready legislature. His presidency could quickly shift into a matter of survival, hinging on Republicans maintaining control of the House. However, there are signs of fractures within his party. Some Republicans are beginning to vote alongside Democrats and distance themselves from Trump, meaning he can't reliably count on them to hold Congress anymore. He's being squeezed from all sides. Courts rejecting his legal maneuvers, Congress preparing for impeachment, and a shaky support base. His legal and political options are shrinking, and he's running out of time and room to maneuver. Now, let's look at what really happened with the decision involving 29 judges and what it signifies. Trump has long tried to manipulate the courts to shield himself, appointing judges likely to rule in his favor and using legal tactics to stall cases. He created a protective bubble where judges seemed to favor him, allowing him to dodge accountability. Cases were delayed, and he managed to avoid the consequences of his actions until now. But things have taken a turn. Judges from across the judicial system are stepping up and saying, "We're done with this." They've made it clear that they will not be manipulated or bend to Trump's desires anymore. The law applies to everyone, Trump included. This pushback is exemplified by the decision from 29 judges, sending a strong message that enough is enough. Even a lower court ruling that might have favored Trump was rejected. The signal is clear. He will not receive special treatment. What's particularly significant is the unanimous agreement among these judges, not just those who lean one way politically, but Republican-appointed judges as well. This demonstrates a shared belief that the rule of law applies equally to everyone. This isn't a partisan attack. It's a united front from the judiciary, signaling that Trump can no longer manipulate the system. Commentators are calling this extraordinary, noting that it's rare to see so many judges from different political backgrounds come together to reject a ruling in Trump's favor. It's unprecedented and shows the judiciary's determination to shut down his legal maneuvers. So what does this mean for Trump? The courts are no longer on his side. He can't rely on judges to shield him and must play by the same rules as everyone else. His usual tactics of delaying proceedings and manipulating the legal system are starting to fail. For years, Trump employed the delay game, filing appeals and slowing down cases in hopes that the political landscape would shift before any resolution. But the judiciary is now united against this strategy. They're committed to moving cases forward and applying the law fairly. The days of avoiding accountability through legal delays are coming to an end. Trump is running out of options. He will soon have to face the courts directly, with no dodging or delaying. He must defend himself and follow court orders. This must be unsettling for him, knowing how weak his legal defenses are and how strong the evidence against him appears. For a long time, his strategy was to stall and use every trick to avoid consequences. But the courts are no longer playing along. They are ready to proceed and enforce the law. Meanwhile, Congress is stepping up impeachment pressure. Articles of impeachment have already been filed, and lawmakers are warning that if Democrats retake the House in 2026, they will pursue removal. They're building the legal and political case to hold Trump accountable. And they don't need courts to convict him on criminal charges. Congress is making it clear that defying court orders attacking judges, and undermining the Constitution is enough grounds for impeachment. Impeachment is political, not strictly legal. A criminal conviction isn't required. Congress only needs to determine that he poses a threat to democracy, and they're moving closer to that conclusion. Democracy protection groups have also voiced concerns about Trump's repeated defiance of court orders, noting his attempts to delay compliance, flouting of rulings, and intimidation of judges. A president should not be able to ignore the courts or attack judges. And if he continues down this path, Congress may have no choice but to act. Support is building for this position, with campaigns like Impeach Trump Again and other civil society organizations rallying pressure. It's clear Trump is backed into a corner. Courts have stopped shielding him, and Congress is signaling the possibility of removal. Legal and political walls are closing in, leaving him fewer options every day. Could Congress actually remove him? Absolutely. The House can vote for impeachment, and the Senate can convict and remove him. If they decide he has ignored court rulings, attacked judges, and undermined democracy enough, they have the authority to act. Is it likely to happen immediately? Probably not, since Republicans currently control Congress. But if Democrats regain the House in 2026, the scenario becomes far more plausible. Trump understands that his current Republican majority is what's protecting him, and he knows how quickly the situation could change. This fuels his urgency around the midterms. He's urging Republicans to secure victories because losing Congress would leave him vulnerable to aggressive courts and an impeachment-ready legislature. At that point, survival becomes his primary concern, and maintaining control of the House is crucial. Yet the landscape is shifting. Some Republicans are drifting away, voting alongside Democrats and resisting his influence. Trump can no longer reliably count on his party to hold Congress. He's being pressured from all sides. Courts rejecting his legal strategies, Congress preparing for impeachment, and his own party fracturing. His political support is waning, his options are shrinking, and it's increasingly clear that Trump is running out of room to maneuver.